in light of the vaccination controversies going on across the country and world, I thought I would share how we handle vaccinations with our cows and our milking herd. This is not a video about human vaccinations by any means. I really refuse to get in that type of conversation. But the cows, we do give vaccinations for. They work so hard, their bodies work so hard, that a case of pneumonia can really make them very ill and leave them with long-term lung damage, just as an example of one thing. So we do what we can to try and protect them from the potentially known things that we have a vaccination for. And you know, you've probably seen in the news people consuming ivermectin because of, you know, the assumption that because that works for animals, it might, you know, have a component that works for humans. But that's not what I'm doing today. I am giving a product called MasterGuard. The reason why I'm doing this, it comes in, it's a live virus, so I have to put them together to activate it. The reason why I'm doing this today is because, as I've mentioned, we are getting out of the business of milking cows, and we have sold much of our herd, and giving them a vaccination booster before they go will just help their immune system. In lots of ways, animals, probably like humans, get used to the viruses that are around them and the bacteria that's around them to a certain degree. And moving to a new facility will expose them to a whole new host of things that their body hasn't seen before. Not to mention that leaving the comfort of this barn and getting on a trailer and going for a ride is going to be stressful enough on its own. So this is not a medication, this is not an antibiotic of any sort. This is just a vaccination. If I could pronounce any of these words, I'd tell you what I was vaccinating against, but basically this is for intestinal viruses and lung viruses. So I'll share with you. I pre-prep. The bottle gives 25 doses, so I'm going to go give a vaccination to 25 cows. Lots of farmers have different vaccination protocols and give them the vaccinations when there are a certain number of days in milk every year. We were a bit behind on vaccinations, so a little over a year ago, we made out a plan that took us about 8 to 10 weeks, but we went through and vaccinated all 230 cows. The ones that are giving milk, it can make them have a little milk drop. It can make them run a little fever. It can just make them not feel so hot for a day. Much like us getting the flu shot makes us feel not so hot. So I'm only going to do 25 at a time, spread out over several days, so that all of them get their vaccination soon. But we are also careful to not give it to them if they're not feeling well, where they are in their pregnancy, so that we don't affect the unborn baby, and all those factors. So I am just going to walk around the barn. I have my list, I have my needles. We use a new needle for every cow. We do not reuse needles, and we don't reuse needles across cows at all. I'm going to put these together. I'm going to draw up a handful of syringes, and then what I'll do is I'll just keep a handful ready, and I'll swap out the needle as I move to cows. So I will reuse the syringes, but not the needles. And first, I'm going to finish my coffee, because going out and finding 25 cows to give a shot to is going to be time consuming and require lots of patience, because I have to draw up the syringes, find the cow, give the shot, mark off my list, redraw up the syringes. You get the idea. I'm going to be balancing a lot. So I'll show you. I'm going to carry everything in this little pouch because it just makes it handy to have it right at my fingertips. Oh, and actually while I'm in here, you can see this is a control room that's kind of halfway down the barn. So we keep a refrigerator in here, the scraper controls for the center scraper unit. We keep calving lists and some medicines in here. And then we try to be organized about keeping everything that we use to treat the new moms especially, all right here and sorted on whether it's for cows that are giving milk or cows that are not giving milk or calves. We like to keep our syringes by size and our needles by size, so there's a lot going on in this little space, but it's super handy and it's right where we can get to what we need when we need it. So here we go. Okay, so I have found one of my first girls that's gonna get the shot. This is an injection that is given subcutaneous, which means under the skin. So there's a spot that's subcutaneous right here, kind of in the fatty by their tail head. That way we don't have to pin her down or lock her in. I can just give it to her quick while she's right in the stall. So the first batch of 5 went really smoothly. I was able to find them quickly. They're actually all cows that are dried off, so they're in the same pen. Sorry, Mia here is not happy about being dried off and down in the separate pen because she's not around humans as much as she used to be. But the first 5 went well, so now I'm gonna reload and start looking for the next 5. So I know I mentioned that we do not reuse needles in cows. So I just wanted to also state that after the vet explained to us that we should never stick the same needle into the bottle, I also don't do that. So I am careful to use the needle on the cow and then I immediately take it off, and I have a separate container in this pouch that I'm wearing that I'm putting the used needles, and then I put a brand new one on before I drop the next injection out of the bottle. So I'm gonna continue on. I've got 20 more to give, and today's vaccination round will be done. So the very last piece of this is that we enter absolutely everything and anything that we give to these cows into our computer system. This is the Lely software that controls the robots. And by doing this, we not only track a comprehensive health history for each of the cows, but we also are attaching the vaccinations and any medicines that they get to the official medicine record that has the withdrawal times for milk and or meat. So what that means is our country's dairy industry and beef industry are very highly regulated, meaning that you do not get milk or meat that has any antibiotics in it. So we put antibiotics or any other medicines that are not antibiotics, like vaccinations. So we put the medicines in under each computer, but we've already pre-programmed the withhold times. So for instance, a milk withhold on a medicine would mean that when we give that medicine to the cow, when the cow comes into the robot to milk, her milk is dumped right down the drain. There's a tube right on the bottom of the robot, and it sends that milk right straight to the sewer so that it doesn't even come close to the rest of our milk supply. It doesn't go through the milk lines, and it does not go into the tank by any means. So that way everything is protected by the data that is in the computer tracking all this information. The robot will then, and I may have mentioned this before, but the robot will then run a wash cycle after the cow that is treated and make sure that the actual robot is clean before it milks the next cow. As far as meat withholds, we track all these in the computer, and then we are obligated to make sure we check them before we ship any animals for beef. USDA inspects all of the meat as it enters the food system, and they test it. And if they find anything, it is a really big problem for the farmer that did that. So we are all very careful to make sure we follow those dates and regulations. So I'm gonna get my 25 vaccinations entered in here under each animal. The other nice thing too is that we can print off a health history for anyone that is buying our animals in any format. So they can know exactly what that animal was given from the day they were born on this farm until the day they leave us, which is coming up rather soon for most of them. So we feel good about being able to hand over those detailed records. We are we are an honest and hardworking crew here. So thankfully, I had no mishaps or methods of embarrassment for this project today. Yeah, there's still some day left though, so solid chance something will go wrong for me. But if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. I am happy to answer them.